Hello, Kathy Rose here, and I'm going to talk to you about the astrological patterns for November 2024. So you see the Scorpio mandala on screen, and I hope you can feel the emotional intensity that flows with this mandala because that's what the sign Scorpio is all about. It's a water sign with a fixed modality. It has more dimensional levels than any other sign. And it's actually the most misunderstood sign in the zodiac, in my opinion. So I'm going to talk about all of this with you, and we're going to do a deep dive into how we manage this Scorpio energy in November. Let's start with the themes for the month. Look on the right side of the screen, you're going to see the red crystal, which if we want to do a visual, it symbolizes what the whole month is all about. It's red hot energy. This crystal is in my office, sitting on my desk, and the sunlight comes through every day. And I love tuning into that frequency of red shining through that crystal. So the themes from November that match this red hot energy, we get to have moments and opportunities to really explore what power is all about and connect with our inner power. We're going to have many opportunities to ask ourselves if we feel powerless or if we connect with our ability to create change in our life. We also, we're going to have many opportunities to examine our own emotional reactivity. Guaranteed it will happen in one way or another. So I say to you, understand that in November, pay attention to what triggers emotional reactions with you and what those reactions are. Where do you have reactivity that just seems to take over? And examine it because it's going to be really, really fascinating. And along with that, of course, then we have the opportunity to manage our emotional energy because there's this overriding deep theme of emotional energy happening for this month. So, this is a challenging month in that way. I happen to like challenge, so I don't mean that in a way that's scary or negative. I like challenge. Let's dive in on the first day of the month. We have a new moon in Scorpio. So November 1st, 8:47 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This sun moon conjunction in this emotional water sign Scorpio is going to be echoed and reinforced with intensity because Mars is opposite Pluto exactly on that day. And Mars is in Cancer, a water sign dealing with emotions. And Mars is the classical ruler of Scorpio, and Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio. That says so much. If you haven't studied astrology, you may not feel just how powerful that is. But what this gives us is this potential to do some meditation about our ability to create what we want in our life, our ability to connect with passion, passionate, emotional, focused energy, and hopefully use it positively. And again, as I mentioned, to observe when we become reactive, when we're not in charge of our reactions. So let me say this about Scorpio, and this is important right now. I mentioned Scorpio has many levels to it, and the most common association we make with Scorpio is the scorpion, the insect that has a stinger at the end of its tail and stings for the sake of stinging, poisonous stings. That is the lower level of Scorpio, let's say the shadow side, where jealousy, revenge, grudges, the need for emotional control come into the picture. Every sign has shadow sides, but that would be more the lower level Scorpio urges. Well, if you take that up a notch, the next level up for Scorpio would be the phoenix, the mythological bird that burns itself in the pyre and then is reborn out of its ashes. So there is a higher level of Scorpio up from the scorpion, which regenerates, which can have profound endings and beginnings, transformational energies that are deep and significant. And you may be feeling some of that this month. But there are two other levels above that. And the next higher level up for Scorpio is the eagle. And this is when we take all this emotional passion, all of this focused need to feel a sense of control, and we rise above those lower emotions like jealousy, grudges, revenge. And instead, we rise up and we fly above that. So with the eagle, there's a certain level of objectivity that comes in and the release of control, operating from the higher perspective. And then the highest level is the dove. People don't usually connect eagle or dove with Scorpio, but it is there. And the dove goes up even above the eagle energy, which adds grace to the situation and releases emotional control and emotional attachments and flies with grace. So, you could just ponder all those levels of Scorpio during this new moon. And because outside influences, things happening in the world, planetary energies swirling around us in the background will offer us the opportunity to choose what level of Scorpio energy we want to manifest. Even if you don't have planets in Scorpio in your own chart, it's all around us. Now, I have people who watch this video from all over the world. So I don't want to only always talk about the US, but we are in the middle of the US presidential election. And oh my gosh, it's heated, it's hot, it's intense, it's passionate. People are highly polarized and very much symbolizing this Mars-Pluto opposition. So we have enormous opportunity to try to manage our emotional energies. And it will, I think, be a challenge no matter where you are in the world, because there are things happening all over the world that are intense right now. So do the best job you can. Make sure you are breathing and pick what level of attachment you want to have to outcomes. Now would be a good time to release controlled attachment to outcomes and surrender and flow. So much to this new moon in Scorpio. So many phenomenal opportunities will be offered. And you want to make sure you're not controlled by outer events, but instead responding because of choice. And with that in mind, because this Mars-Pluto energy is not just right now in November, it's going to be very strong off and on all the way until April. One way or another, Mars and Pluto operating together, which, invites a sense of either taking charge of your reality or reacting to outer events. I have clients contacting me all the time right now saying that there's a bit of fear going on for them, fear of what's going to happen, whether it's violence in the world, violent reactions around them. And I often will bring up this particular affirmation or statement that's on screen right now. If I feel that around me, if that energy field of, oh my gosh, things are so unstable, is there going to be a violent reaction or emotional violent reaction? So in those moments, I take a deep breath and I remind myself, I am always in the right place at the right time. I am in the flow. And because of that, I'm always safe. And so I wanted to just reinforce that right now. These astrological energies should not produce fear. You are in charge and you are amazingly powerful. And you can channel your energy so that you create a different outcome. Along with all this intense Scorpio energy, we have a strong Mars cycle that's happening now. I mentioned that in the October and also in the September forecast that Mars entered Cancer in September. And because Mars is going to begin a retrograde in December, you see that on screen, Mars is slowing down. So there's going to be a prolonged period of Mars energizing Cancer and Leo. In November 4th, Mars enters the sign Leo. And on December 6th, it begins the retrograde. Mars will enter Cancer again when we get into January, and it will end the retrograde in the middle of February. And it doesn't complete this whole cycle until we get to May. So those of you who may have planets between 17 degrees Cancer or 6 Leo, you're going to be actively receiving this wonderful Mars energy, which is motivation and action. But even if you're not receiving this energy personally in your chart, it is time for you to review where you need to take action in life and how you are using your motivational energy. So for the month of November, while it's in Leo, this picture of the lion I chose was purposeful. You see how much pride and authority it has. Mars in Leo has a confidence that is beautiful. It has a regal posture about it. Mars in Leo can also be dramatically reactive when reacting to insult or disrespect. So as we go through as we go through November, use this Mars in Leo energy well. Activate the confidence part, activate the leadership within you rather than the reactivity. It's going to be interesting. Then mid-month, we have a full moon in Taurus, November 15th, 4:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is not just your ordinary full moon. The moon happens to be very happy when it's in Taurus. That's the sign in which it's exalted. But the moon will be conjunct the planet Uranus for this full moon. And Uranus is unpredictable energy oriented for change and growth and surprises. So, Uranus in Taurus, Taurus likes stability. Taurus wants predictability and a feeling of security through having some control. And Uranus is going to come in and go, no. Learn that your security is within, not based on what's happening outside of you. So with this full moon, it is designed to shake up your sense of security so that you bring it inside, so that you say to yourself, I am capable of flowing through life successfully no matter what happens. I can respond in the moment successfully and appropriately. That would be a great mantra for you to have during this full moon in Taurus. That is not inviting bad surprises. Rather, it is saying, I am not attached to the outcome because I can be successful no matter what. We have to see on screen here, Mars will still be opposite Pluto. As I said, this is going to be going on until April. Mars and Pluto acting together one way or another from now until April, which is the management of power, the management of passion, using your energy intensely to co-create your reality, but not to control other people. So if you get a chance during this full moon in Taurus on the 15th of November, get outside and stand under the moon and let it fill you and surrender. Surrender. Release control. Step into the excitement of adventure because that's what Uranus moon wants to bring. Do you like adventure? Do you have confidence that in situations where you don't have a plan, you can still be successful? And this brings me to a thought I have about astrology, which is the whole concept of astrology and prediction, wanting to try to predict our future, which is really a Scorpio and a Taurus thing, because Scorpio and Taurus like to think in terms of, if I'm prepared, I'm safe. Well, that full moon and everything happening in November says that the way we predict our future is to use energy to mold our future through our actions and our choices. So I think this is really the goal of astrology. And this is why I shy away from things like predicting who's going to become president or predicting exact things that will happen with these energies, because the more conscious person is going to be saying, I'm just going to use these energies and steer them in the way that I want in order to achieve what I want to achieve. All right. So on top of it all, on top of all this other juicy stuff, we get to have a Mercury retrograde that begins on November 25th. It's going to begin in the sign Sagittarius, 22 degrees Sagittarius. Mercury will stay retrograde until the middle part of December, December 15th. It ends the retrograde at 6 Sagittarius. So if you have planets between 6 and 22 Sagittarius, you get to receive this wonderful Mercury energy. And some of that is right during the travel time for the holiday season. So what I say to you, please try to orient your mind to simply telling yourself, I am going to pack my flexibility with me on any trip I take. And do you see specifically how I worded that rather than what you hear most times about Mercury retrograde, which I don't even want to give a voice to as far as traveling during Mercury retrograde? See, I have a different view of this cycle. I mean, I bought a computer once when Mercury was retrograde. I also bought a brand new car when Mercury was retrograde. I do not fear Mercury retrograde. And because my belief is saturated with, if I'm in the flow and the deal happens effortlessly, I'm going to move forward with the deal no matter what the planets are doing. And because of that, my purchases when Mercury retrograde have been successful and wonderful. So have my trips, my travels. So have deals I have made in other areas in life when Mercury is retrograde. So I'd like to rewire your thinking about this. But I'd like to say, if you are going to receive this Mercury retrograde to your chart, it's extra productive, extra productive. And if you do have planets between the zones 6 and 22 degrees Sagittarius, the completion is really going to come in the early part of January, because that's when Mercury gets back to those later degrees in Sagittarius. All right. So the other thing about this Mercury retrograde, one other way to look at it is to open up your consciousness so that you have flexibility in how answers may come into your life. So we see on screen, this is a quote by my good friend Pete Sanders Jr. He is the founder of the course called Free Soul, the organization. It's a nonprofit organization in Sedona, Arizona. And I taught with the Free Soul organization for many years. And he says, if we tie our satisfaction level to only one possible answer, we limit how the universe can send us solutions. Now, actually, this thought that's on screen pertains to the entire month of November, not just Mercury retrograde. Because when we have Scorpio energy, the higher levels of Scorpio, the dove and the eagle, release attachment and open up to unlimitedness. So again, if we tie our satisfaction level to only one possible answer, we limit how the universe can send us solutions. Pack your flexibility, open your consciousness, release the urge to be in control. The month of November will flow more successfully for you, I think, if you engage that. And then November 19th, we're going to have Pluto finalizing the transit, the long transit through Capricorn, and entering Aquarius again, but staying in Aquarius this time. And as Pluto enters Aquarius on a personal level, what this offers us is deeper awareness about how our words, how sound waves are manifesting, what we say out loud, what we sing, not just what we think silently in our brain, but the words we are using and the sound waves this produces and the actions that creates that brings about in our life. So as Pluto enters Aquarius, take responsibility for what you are saying. Give your energy to what you want, not what you don't want. I'm not saying be afraid of words, but be mindful that your words, that the sound waves produced with your voice are bringing about what you want. Just today, earlier, I had a client, a very lovely lady, who was talking about a big trip coming up in her life. And she said, I'm actually scared to death. And I paused and I said, is that really what you want to say? You're scared to death? And she went, no, you're right. And I said, how about I'm very excited about the new possibilities? Because she was nervous about traveling alone on a major trip. And she said, yeah, you're right. That feels a whole lot better. And those kinds of corrections that we make in our language and the sound waves that flow with them and the energy will make a big difference now. So pay attention to that. Take responsibility for what you are saying and send the energy to where you want it to go. Because we are not controlled by astrology. We are not controlled by the planets. We are not controlled by our own chart. All of these are just imprint energies that we can utilize. The person makes the horoscope live, not the other way around. We as individuals get to use these energies swirling around us. The energies don't victimize us or make things happen. Things can happen in the world because of these energies, but in your world, you can create a different reaction. You can create different events by being aware so that you are free, so that you are using your passionate energy, which is so palpable right now and will be palpable until April. You are using that passionate focus to create what you want to create. November offers us an amazing opportunity. And as always, I send you much love and many, many blessings. I thank you for watching, and I look forward to talking to you for the November forecast. So enjoy the November energy. Bye for now.